also gave the fans a French lesson over the weekend. Coach, do we have another French lesson this week as far as, you know, more words in your game plan in order to get the team going?
Well, not
anyway,
yet,
Coach Mark Hudspeth.
If that would do the job, we would do it. Hey, let me start by saying very proud of this football team, very proud of our fan base, very proud of our program, our university, becoming bowl eligible for the second straight year, and very proud of the way our football team battled through adversity to get to this point. Been a lot of a lot of ups this year, but a couple of downs, and our players have come through it with, to me, flying colors with the way they have handled themselves. You know, the words on the back of our jerseys this week at the game, to me, just symbolized a lot about our football team, but it also symbolized a lot about our culture, about our fans, about the people from Acadiana, from Lafayette, and I was just proud, and I know our team was proud to wear those names on the back of our jerseys this weekend. With the game offensively, I thought we played and executed offensively as well as any point this year, minus the 4 turnovers. Anytime you put up almost 600 yards on the league's #1 defense, you've got to feel like you're doing some good things offensively. But the key to that, the turnovers almost spoiled what would have been a really very good offensive showing. We've got to eliminate those turnovers. When we got the onside kick and hit a big play, we're fixing to have an opportunity to go up 2 scores. We had seized the momentum and built on it with the onsides, and then obviously we gave it back to them. So that was sort of the telltale of the game. Every time we'd get some momentum, we'd seem to give it back to them with the turnover. Got to give our defense a lot of credit. I thought they played a very good first half. Considering us turning the ball over 4 times, I thought we put them in difficult situations sometimes. They did get our number a little bit there late in the game, late in the 3rd and 4th quarter, running the football, and got to give them credit too. That's what they do. They're good at it. Their back is very talented. We had a hard time stopping him, but when the game was on the line, the last 2 series, our defense stepped up and made some really, really big plays. And then offensively, can't say enough about Terrence Broadway, Harry Peoples, that entire offense. To me, that's unheard of, almost going 96 yards in 56 seconds. To take control of the game. Got to give those guys credit for 2 straight drives. And they even did the 2-minute drill, I thought, to perfection right before halftime to get the 3 points to tie it up going into halftime. So, still got a lot of things we've got to improve upon. I thought the kicking game was our worst performance of the year. We've had a lot of injuries with Tyron Alexander's, Marcus Jackson's, a lot of guys that had major roles in the kicking game that aren't on those anymore. And some other guys we sort of moved up to put on those. They're not quite getting the job done, so this week I'm moving a lot of starters to the kickoff team and the kickoff return team. We've got to do a lot better job. That was our worst performance of the year by far, except, like I said, we did kick our field goals and made our onside kicks. We got to get better there. But in the end, it's a great win against a really good football team at home. We protected the house, became bowl eligible, and remain somewhat alive still for the Sun Belt Championship. Depends on the next 2 weekends. The next 2 weekends are extremely big. So with that, I'll open up, see if anybody's got any questions.
Forgetting the record, what sort of challenges did y'all have?
Defensively, I've been watching them all morning. They, to me, one of the most talented defenses, I think, in the conference. Their secondary is extremely good. Their corners are active, fast. You watch the first half against Mississippi State, and you wonder if we'll be able to move the football at all. They're very good. And if you look at their scores of the games they've lost, they lost by 7 to Middle, they lost by 7 to Troy, they lost by 7 to Arkansas State. They have been in every game they've played within a touchdown, it seems like. So, and their record could be 9-2, 8-3, 7-3, just as easy as it is right now, 2-9. I think they're a very good defensive football team. Offensively, they've got some weapons too, but to me, their strong point is their defense. I think they're very good.
Coach, in that last drive, we got the ball back at a little bit about minute 52. Did before you guys started just getting big chunks of yards, moving the ball, were you thinking maybe going into overtime, getting it down there, or you were thinking, hey, we're going to score anyway?
Well, we got the ball back. It was a minute and some odd seconds left, and we we just needed 3, obviously to at least get the game to overtime. But we were picking up such big chunks, and then once we got it across to 50, I just told Jay on the headset, hey, let's go win it. We were moving the ball. Then we really got to the 50 with a lot of time left. If it had been 17 seconds left at the 50, then you got to position yourself maybe to get in field goal range, get your red field goal team on the field because you had no timeouts. But once we crossed the 50 and had, I think, maybe still a minute left or 45 seconds, I said, hey, let's go win this joker. Harry Peoples just took that ball and took his team and put him on his back. And the offensive line gave him a lot of time to throw the ball, Terrence time to throw the ball. And I don't know if anybody in the country can execute a 2-minute offense better than what those kids did the other night.
Coach, 17 seniors going to be honored. Last game for them at Cajun Field. Talk about what they've meant to you because you come in there 2 years into their 4 years.
Yeah, you really appreciate those guys buying into your system. And, these guys now have been with us for 2 years. They know what's expected on and off the field. And, to me, they took the success that last year's senior group had, and they wanted to build on it and continue that success. And here they are now, have continued that success of another year bowl eligible. And, if we're fortunate enough to continue to work hard and play well enough, and we're fortunate enough we have an opportunity to match last year's record. So they want to definitely go out on a high note, and they know by doing that they can. So very, very proud of that senior class.
Coach, you had a couple of people dinged up. Alonzo left, pointed off. What's the status of a couple of guys?
Yeah, Alonzo is pretty sore. We'll evaluate him tomorrow. I definitely know that he'll be available Saturday. He'll be a little sore for the next couple of days, but I anticipate him practicing midweek and then being ready to go Saturday.
What is it about Harry that allows him to be a playmaker?
Some guys have just got it, and it's hard to evaluate it in recruiting sometimes. Sometimes you sort of luck out, sometimes you can see it. We knew that he had a little of that factor to him. Didn't know it was quite to this extreme. To me, he's the best player in the Sun Belt Conference. That guy, if you look at what he does, there's not a receiver as good as Harry Peoples in this conference. 13 catches, 144 yards. You look at what he's done. And early in the year, looking back, we talked about trying to get the ball in his hands. You look back, if there's one thing we probably could have done a better job of in the first few games, is making sure Harry Peoples touched it a few more times. Because when he has a lot of touches, we're pretty good. We're pretty good. And so we've got to find ways to continue to get the ball in his hands. That he's phenomenal. He's hard to tackle too. And you know what? Everybody says, well, how fast is he? He's fast enough. And he doesn't get caught. So I don't know if you can time that with a stopwatch or not, but it's pretty valuable.
You've talked about this thing being Terrence's the rest of the way. Where do you stand on the whole don't lose a job to injury thing versus you got some continuity going?
Yeah, I think everybody, in the end has to somewhat understand their role, understand the situation of the team, and understand where they're at physically at the point when they return. And that old saying obviously sometimes holds true. Maybe if you're out for a game or two, you're out for a concussion, or you're out, for a couple of games. But when you're out the majority of the season and then come back, you've got to get back into playing shape. You've got to get back into mentally being able to pick up and manage the game. And Terrence is playing so well right now. The team is just now learned to play around him and his style of play. And it just comes a point when you have to make a decision as a head coach what's best for the football team. And I guarantee Blaine Gaucher will be the first to tell you that he's a team player, and if this is the best thing for our team, he's all for it. But I know this, he would readily be available and would come in and do an incredible job. And it's senior night this coming Saturday, and I'll tell you this, Blaine Gaucher will get a snap on his last home game in Cajun Field. You can bet that.
Coach, on some of the drives last night, Saturday night, of course, you guys on third down were, I think, 6 for 10, so you were at 60% on third down conversion. So I think you made a comment in the post-game press conference that, they didn't stop you guys. You guys stopped yourselves.
Right.
But on a couple of Terrence's runs, obviously they were quarterback draws, but there were a couple more where he pulled down. What were you guys seeing where you and Coach Johnson said, hey, you know what, that quarterback draw, we're going to catch that safety, we're going to get them going back?
Well, we're trying to find a way to get Andrew Jackson out of the box, and so we sort of found a way through game planning to get him to widen and expand, and then that left no linebackers in the middle of the field. And so the draw was just a given based on film study, and ended up being a very good play and the trap. And then he had a zone read play, the first play of the second half, where he pulled it on the zone read and ran it for, I think, 50 yards, there on the first play. So, some of those plays were zone runs. A couple of them were draws. The final touchdown, was a draw. And, that Terrence Broadway's got a nose for the end zone. He was not going to be denied, but on that play, Efren Reed just absolutely pancaked that safety and made a big hit on him. So that was a great block on his part, too.
Coach, you and Jerron had a moment after the game. He was talking earlier to us, and he talked about it a little bit. Talk about your relationship with him, and just as he's only got a few games left in his career, how you feel about him as a player.
Man, I love that guy to death. He's a guy that's been here through the thick and the thin. He's not a transfer. He's been here through the long haul. And if you can look at his career and see how he developed, and just look at how he has matured as a man in the last 2 years and developed as a football player, and seeing the journey he's been on to now be one of the best, I think, linemen in the conference. I just am very proud of him. He's been a leader through the thick and thin, and he's a special young man, good boy too, and he's going to be a great representation of this university. When he leaves here, he'll be very proud to come back and say this is his university.
Time for the pink elephant in the room. You guys are bowl eligible. I probably know the answer, but I'm going to ask the question anyway. Does it matter where you play if you get a bowl game?
It does not matter. Obviously, right now you're hearing a lot of names. We're not even thinking about that because, to me still, we've got to win this next game. And we don't want to go to a game just because there's not enough people to go around. We want to go to the game because we earned a bowl game. And it's very important for us to finish. And that's what we wanted to work on before the year started, was finishing. And right now, we're hitting our stride. We're going to try to do our best to finish this thing out on this positive note, and we'll let everybody else tell us where we're going. But we'll be happy to go anywhere and play anybody. So it'll be hopefully another great experience for our fans, and that's who I'm most proud for, is our fans and our players, to get to go together and share another great bowl experience.
Coach, one more question. Since we haven't been able to ask this question all year, you talked about it, but you lost the turnover battle and you won.
First time this year, and I told our football team that yesterday. We always review the plan to win the day after the game, and reviewing the plan to win, and you lose the turnover battle 4-1, and you win the football game, that's a rarity. Sometimes if you lose it 1-0, 2-1, you may squeak it out. You go back and look at the Arkansas State game and lost it 5-0, lost the game. If they'd have had 5 and we'd had 0, we'd have won. Turnovers are such a critical part of this game, and not giving offenses the short field, but got to give our guys credit. They overcame, and our last core value of our football team is find a way, and they found a way to win that football game.
Back to George's bowl question, since he started it all.
Not with the players.
Could going back to New Orleans possibly be as special as it was last year, or would you rather experience something different?
It really doesn't matter. I think it'll be a special occasion wherever we go, because our fans, I know they're going to follow us in droves. I really think that we'll take a large contingent wherever we go. You just look at what we did last year, and then you come back to town the week later, and there's 10,000 more people just absolutely sick that they couldn't get off work, wasn't able to go, something came up, and just said, Coach, I promise you, if you'll get us back, we are going next year. So I think if they got to fly to Hawaii, or if they got to drive to New Orleans, I think they'll be there. And so it'll be a great experience once again, as we try to start a tradition, is always competing for a championship, and then hopefully winning championships year in, year out, and then being a team that's going to bowls and taking our teams to bowls as we continue to build this football program.
Coach, you mentioned winning despite losing the turnover battle, but not only were you were -3, which is bigger than 2-1.
No question.
And you were playing a team that runs the football down your throat
Yep.
pretty effectively. Really, that's pretty remarkable.
That's a recipe for disaster, ain't it?
Yeah.
You know, luckily offensively, you know, we was able to put points on the board and move the ball. I think we averaged almost 10 yards a play ourselves. There in the second half, it wasn't probably much defense on either side being played. Both teams moved the ball pretty well. Defensively, you know, we came up with 2 critical stops. Offensively, we got rolling and started taking care of the ball late. But you can't do that often and expect to win many games if you turn it over or lose a turnover battle and then the team really rushes what they did, even though we outrushed them. They're very good at that.
The 2-minute offense last year was great. It worked again, and yet the personnel's different. Are the dynamics different with a different quarterback and personnel, or why are y'all so good at that?
Well, it's something we emphasize. You know, there's an old saying, and it's quite true. It's, you know, you get what you emphasize, and we emphasize the 2-minute drill. We emphasize working it. We're already a no-huddle team, so any no-huddle team, automatically, to me, is going to be somewhat better than huddle teams in a 2-minute situation. So then you add the element of working the situations, working the clock, stopping the clock, knowing when to call a timeout, knowing when to kill the ball, and then all the field goal and touchdown situations, and already having a sequence of plays. We already have just a few sequence of plays we know we're going to use. We don't use the whole playbook in the 2-minute offense. Our receivers don't switch sides. You know, there's just so many elements they have to know what to do when you do the 2-minute offense. And it's been very productive, to say the least, in the last 2 years. And I would say it's responsible for at least 3 or 4, maybe 5 wins, whether it was before half or at the end of a football game. So we'll continue to work it. We take pride in that. Our players take pride in it. And we're getting better at it now since we got a new quarterback and some new receivers that are playing.
Coach, were you a little surprised that Western didn't try to punt inside 2 minutes at the end of the game?
Was I surprised they did punt?
Or that they did not, or that they did?
Yeah, that they did. I was surprised. You know, the way they was running the football, 4th and 1, I looked for them to line up and run the ball. And as a matter of fact, I left our defense on the field and was 100% positive they were going to run the football. And then they snuck the punt team out there, and so we didn't even send anybody back. We figured we was going to fair catch it at the 9 or 10, or we was going to go in the end zone. So we ended up getting it about the spot where we would have fair caught it. But a little bit surprised right there. But you know, Willie was thinking, hey, we have no timeouts and we got to go 90 yards. Hey, let's put the ball in the hands of our defense. And you know, sometimes you know we know that for sure. Sometimes your plan just doesn't work as planned. Don't mean it was a bad plan.
Anything else for Coach?
All right, guys. Thanks a lot. Okay.